In this video, we're going to go through some different stories that will help us remember our measurements. So we're going to start with one, and you're going to draw these on a piece of paper. If you're doing this at home, in class we'll do this as well, but at home you want to draw them on a piece of paper, and that will be included in your notes when you turn them in for Unit 2. We'll start with a story, and just kind of in the corner, maybe like the top left corner of your paper, go ahead and draw along with me. So we have Mrs. T here, and she has 3 babies. Okay, so there's Mrs. T, and here are her 3 little babies. Okay, so Mrs. T is the same as her 3 little babies. So here we have Mama T, and T is standing for tablespoon. She has a few nicknames, so some people call her Tab, some people call her TBS, some people call her TBSP, but all of those are Mrs. T, right? Mama T, the tablespoon. And over here she has her 3 kids, and their names are Tisp and Teaspoon. Unique names, I know. But those are her 3 children.
Jocelyn Wimmer, please come to the attendance office. Jocelyn Wimmer to the attendance office, please.
Okay, and now we have, so Mama T is the same as her 3 little kids, right? So 1 tablespoon is the same as 3 teaspoons. But what happens when we erase half of her kids, right? And you might think, how do we do that? Well, this is how we do that. We just erase half of those kids. And what are we left with? So 1/2 of Mama T equals 1 1/2 little kids. Kind of gruesome, but hopefully that helps you remember. So there's one little remembering tip. We're going to do another one. So this one's also a picture, and we're going to do it maybe over here. Let me just drag over so I have some space. We're going to draw a big cup, and this is like that teacup ride at Disneyland. So here we have 1 cup. Okay, in the cup we have Tab, who's driving. And Tab is pretty cool because Tab just turned 16, so he gets to drive. Here's our little steering wheel. He gets to drive this teacup. He's pretty cool. And he has his little driver's license that has a little picture of Tab and information. So he's got his driver's license because he is 16. And the back of the teacup we have Floz, and Floz is Tab's little brother. So here we have little Floz. And he is just a little guy. He is half of Tab's age. So this is Tab. I should make note of that. Floz is half of Tab's age. So he's just little. His shirt's really big on him. And this is Floz. And he is 8 years old. Okay. So what do we really want to remember from here? Tab, which stands for tablespoon, is 16. So 16 tablespoons equals 1 cup. Or we also have Floz, who's half of Tab's age, so he's 8. So we'll write that here so we remember Floz is 8. 8 fluid ounces, Flozes, in 1 cup. So we have 1 Floz in the cup and 1 Tab in the cup. And then another thing just to also help us remember, this doesn't necessarily go along with this, but another thing we do want to remember is 16 ounces that are dry, not fluid, is equal to 1 pound. Okay, so we've got a couple of these down. We're going to draw a couple more little things. And hopefully these will help you remember. You're going to draw them on a piece of paper as you go through. So let's start next with a cube of butter. And we're gonna break this butter up into 8 sections. So I'll first just break it in half, and then each of those in half, and then in half again. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. Each of these sections represents 1 tablespoon. So 1 cube of butter, or 1 stick of butter is the same thing. Sorry, my handwriting's not great on this here. Is equal to 8 tablespoons. And if we go back over here, we know tab is 16, so 16 tablespoons equals 1 cup. So half of that, we know wow, this really looks so bad on here. It's hard to write on it. 1 cube of butter is equal to 1/2 cup. So those are some things we want to remember about butter. Okay, just 3 more things we're going to draw. I will go on up over here maybe and draw this next one. This is just kind of a saying, this next one, so it's pretty even, but there is a fact that we want to learn, and it is that 1/3 cup is the same as 5 and 1/3 tablespoons. Okay, and this is just a fact that we need to memorize, which can be tricky. So what we're going to say to memorize this is that both sides have a 1/3. So we have the 1/3 here and the 1/3 over here, and they both have a curve. So this one has the C, this one has the 5. Sorry, that kind of got a little line there. So we're going to remember 1/3 and a curve. And a side that has the 5, because the 5 is the curve, not the measurement, so that's where the T goes. So 5 and 1/3 C, or cup, equals 5 and 1/3 tablespoons. 1/3, we'll have the 1/3 and the curve, and I'll just kind of highlight that 1/3 so we remember. And then I'm going to circle the curve. Curve and curve. Right? 1/3 and a curve is how we're going to remember that. Okay, after doing the 1/3 and a curve, we are going to draw our gallon man. Let me start up with that. We're going to start by just drawing kind of a rectangle for gallon man's body, and we'll just write gallon, or GAL for short. Off to the side, I'm going to put this over here, sorry. I'm going to put 1 gallon equals, and we'll write everything that it equals down here. So here's gallon man. We'll give him a little head. Oh, that kind of just moved and ruined his head. Okay, we'll give him a little head. And then we're going to break him up into 4 pieces. Well, not really. We're going to give him his arms and legs. But those 4 pieces are equal to the same as his body, so 1 gallon. So we're going to put 1 for his arms, 1 for each arm, and 1 for each leg. And these are, we're going to put a little quart in there. So 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. From there, we're going to build off a little bit. I'm going to do that a little. So each of these segments is the same as a quart, and then we're going to break them in half. And for each of these, that's going to be a pint. So we'll go in and write that for each one. So 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pints. Okay, next we are going to give him some fingers, but Gallon Man is pretty unique. He's not quite like us. He actually has 4 fingers and 4 toes on each appendage. So a little different, but we're going to go in and put those 4 in, and we'll break these up into those 4. And you'll notice this shape is about the same as that. That should be the same, so quart is the same as 2 pints, same as 4 cups. We'll write a C on each of those. Okay, so we have 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, 8 pints, or 16 cups. And that's what Gallon Man will help us remember. Okay, last thing we want to do is we're just going to draw a little chart, and I'll probably do it right in here because I have some space here. And you're going to draw a rectangle, divide it in half, and then go in and divide it into 5 pieces. On the left side, we're going to have tablespoons, and on the right side, we're going to have cups. So you can go ahead and write just your little T here on each of those, so you remember, and your little cup here. And then we're going to do some basic math here. So we're going to start with 16 tablespoons equaling 1 cup, because remember, 16-year-old Tab is in the cup, and he's driving it because he just got his license. And then we're going to skip this first little arrow, so I'm just going to this one we're kind of skipping right now. And then we're going to move on to this one. And we're going to divide it in half. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. 1 divided by 2 is 1/2. And that tells us 8 tablespoons is equal to 1/2 cup. Then we're going to divide it again. So I'm going to write divide by 2, and then divide by 2, so I remember that. Divide it by 2 again. That's 4, and then we're going to divide this by 2, and that's 1/4. And then over here we're going to divide this by 2 again, and this gives us, so 4 divided by 2 is 2, 1/4 divided by 2 is 1/8, and we put that in there. Now we'll go back here where we left this blank spot, and we are just going to find the middle of this. Actually, we're going to do this. We're going to add these 2 right here and these 2 right here. So 4 plus 8 is 12. And it falls in the middle, but we're going to add because that makes it a little bit easier to remember. And then 1/2 plus 1/4 is 3/4 right there. So this chart right here is kind of helpful because it helps us remember each of these measurements. If you can find a way to remember this chart, that will really help you on the test. You'll be able to just either write it out or remember it somehow. All of these should hopefully help you remember measurements, but especially the chart is very helpful.